Welcome back to Bridal University with Ebony
and Zoe.
Alright.
Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks, both for brides and for stylists. Yeah.
So this will help everyone in appointment, after appointment, leading up to the wedding day. For brides, of course, not stylists. Yeah, just like overall tips and tricks in and out.
Yeah. So we'll start off with brides just because why not? And then we'll go into stylists, and then we might even have some little video clips too. So if you are an audio listener,
Be fun.
check us out on YouTube and you can see the actual tutorials and things that we're doing. Yeah. Alright. So we're gonna pull out our handy little handbook. Handy handbook.
Of course our handbook is red. Well, the handbook isn't red.
Yeah. Okay. Without bumping into my mic, get over to us. We're going to look.
Alright, so we're going to start with brides. So the first bride tip would be for us, this cool little tip to use a crochet hook when you have a dress that has not illusion buttons, but actual buttons that need to be buttoned from top to bottom. So illusion buttons are buttons that are paired with an actual zipper, so they look like they need to be buttoned, but they actually aren't. But then there's some dresses that actually have buttons all the way down, maybe the back, maybe like all the way down to the hip, like, you know, like, I'm sorry, not your hip, like butt, all the way down. So just kind of easy, just take the loop and kind of pull it over to each button.
Yeah. So if you're someone who has a lot of buttons, there's no need to worry, because I know everyone's like, oh my god, am I going to do all those buttons? There's tricks. Just take a little crochet hook, put it in, pull it over. It's much easier to take them off because you just pop them off, but putting them on can get very tedious.
If you're a girl like me, nails can be hard. So.
Yeah. I find that when I have nails, it's easier for me to do the loops.
It depends. If it's sometimes I can like pull it over and like pop it, but if it's a little tighter and it hasn't been like worn yet, it's a little harder. So
yeah, that's true. I always feel like I have so much like a harder time doing anything with like clipping and stuff like that once I have my nails on.
Yeah.
But, like, how do I use my hands again? Yeah. The next tip that I think was trending for a little while is using like a big storage bag to help you if your dress is really poofy and you need to use the bathroom. If you're someone with a ball gown or an A-line and there's a lot of material on the bottom and you don't want it to get dirty by a toilet or anything, you cut a little hole in the bottom of the bag just big enough to put your legs through, and you kind of just pull it up and like wear like a strap almost to keep all of the dress inside. And I'm sure it's not going to look pretty and not going to be perfect, but it'll keep your dress from getting damaged. And when we say big storage bag, like if you got a big ball gown, you need a
huge,
large storage bag.
Ones.
Yeah.
The first time I heard about this, I had a bride that was going to be hiking in her dress.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's what she was telling me, that was her plan. So I was like, how are you going to hike in the dress? She was like, you know, that little hack. I'm going to just pull the dress and run with it. And I was like, okay, you let me know how that goes.
Yeah. So. I don't know, I've heard about it, I've seen it on TikTok, Instagram, reels like that, where people do that as a trick. Seems to help. I definitely wouldn't want to try to fight to use the bathroom in a ball gown. So.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it to my dress, but.
And then we have, let's see. Oh, okay. So this is if you are trying your dress on in a store. So if you're trying to see if this is the one, but you got some like thoughts in your mind, you go try it on other spaces.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, like I know here we have a couple different places with mirrors. So here we have one where it's like more of the store lighting, and then we have a mirror that's next to the window so you can get natural lighting. So I encourage a lot of brides, like if your wedding is going to be outside and you're going to be under natural light and maybe there's like a detail in your dress that you may want to see how it looks in the natural light, I always encourage bride to walk over to that mirror that's near the window, and you can kind of get a different view.
Sometimes just seeing things in a different perspective helps a lot more, helps you feel like you're doing your quote research on the dress, you know?
Like walking up to the mirror instead of like coming out and just standing in the mirror too. That's a thing. I think like you can see it kind of walking up.
Yeah, walking around in the dress too, noticing is one area pulling at you, does it feel really comfortable when you walk? Kind of just giving yourself that full feel of the dress, because just standing there in front of a mirror, in the same mirror, everything's going to start to look the same. But if there's one that you really like, take the extra steps to like do something with it, you know? Yeah.
Sure.
Alright, you want to do the next one?
Oh, yes. So for the next one, I see a lot of times that a bride will love a dress and she'll ask the people that she's with to take a picture for her. But I actually want to advise you to take a video. A video, you can kind of see the movement of the dress and you can kind of see some of the details that you may be loving in person. Sometimes pictures just aren't enough when you go home. You kind of forget those details that you were loving in the store. Again, if it has like beading or some type of detail, you may want to see it in action with light. So yeah, take videos instead of pictures.
Yeah, you can even do like your own little vlog in store, like, hi future me, I really liked this part of the dress and check out the train, and like
cute.
Make yourself a little video to look back on.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that. You can like incorporate it in like videos later too. Like,
yeah,
that's cute.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, so this is a tip that's going to include a video aspect to it. So if you're an audio listener, if you're listening to the day that it comes out, you'll have to wait till tomorrow to see it on video. But if it's already been out for a few days, pop over to our YouTube and you can see the video tutorial about how to fan out a dress, how to fan out the train. I want to make everybody know the bottom of the dress is called a train.
Yes.
Not a trail, not a tail,
Not a tail.
That kills me, a tail.
Not the part
So
at
the
bottom.
train of the dress.
Yes. And me and Zoe, the other day, we were making content. And we were like, some dresses are a little easier than others, so maybe we'll pick.
I know what you're talking about.
It took me like 3 tries. So sometimes you have to do it from the side, depending on the material. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't just do a traditional, like, up and down, but some are a little, so we'll have fun with that. We'll show you that later.
Like, just for our audio listeners, if you want, like, a brief description, there are, like, a few different ways you can fan out a train. Most usually, I think what I do is I find the middle of the dress, I grab on each side, I, like, pull it up in the air, and then fluff it down. Like, you don't want to drag the dress down with you. You almost want to, like, fluff it and then let go as you're putting it down, so it has that air to, like, spread out. You can also do that same trick, but, like, kind of fan it sideways and, like, throw the end of the train really lightly.
Depending on the weight of the material, too.
If it's, like, really light tulle, I feel like the side one works really well, and just the normal. But
the regular one. Also, the length of the train matters too.
Yeah.
Because I've felt a little silly sometimes fanning like a train that's like literally like 3 inches. I keep like trying to get it perfect. So that comes, with length as well. So
yeah. Yeah, and if it's like a heavy crepe dress, that's the one that was giving us a bit of difficulty. It's a very stretchy material. The kind of crepe that we were working with was like stretch crepe. So if we moved it one way, the like tension would bring it so it becomes difficult depending on the material. But definitely play around with fanning your dress to try to figure out what's gonna work the best. You can ask your stylist too if you're in store, like, how do you recommend I fan out a dress with a material like this? And
you're going to want to know, especially when it's time to take pictures.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste 20 minutes trying to get
the
train perfect. So,
no, definitely not. So if you want to see the videos of those, pop on over to our YouTube and you can see them. If you're already here, hi.
Hello. So our next one is definitely build a vision board. of what you're liking, because I know sometimes to a stylist, when a bride has more of like a full aesthetic and they can kind of show me a full vision of the day, even if it's not a dress and I see some of the details of like what you're envisioning, it kind of helps too. So a vision board is definitely a cool thing to have and a cool thing to bring to your appointment.
Yeah. I think that, helps a lot. It also helps you narrow down what like you want. I know many of you will probably be like, I already have Pinterest. I've been planning out my wedding for 5 years. But for those of you who come in and you're like, I have no idea about anything, not exactly super helpful to us, not exactly super helpful to you. So if you spend like, a couple minutes out of your day, for a couple days a week, just looking at what is catching your eye, perfect. You can do that. So this is a day of tip. So on the day of your wedding, either you need to or somebody else needs to, or sometimes even the bridal store that you go to supplies them, but emergency sewing kits, or just like those emergency bride kits that have like band-aids, sewing, everything like that, because you never know what's going to happen. I've heard stories about, bridesmaids saying, oh my god, like my dress ripped like right at the end, I can't believe it. So just be prepared. Yeah,
just be prepared. Sometimes like with buttons, sometimes I've heard like people's bustles kind of come
way down throughout the night. If it's loose. A heavier dress and you dance a lot, they can kind of sag. So bringing like
maybe have some safety pins, straps, just different things like that. Just keep in mind. Just be prepared.
Yeah. Last thing, just bring your maid of honor to any final fittings that you have with alterations, or even if it's just at the store. Just so if you have any bustles, anything that, you can't reach yourself, bring them in. Usually it's the maid of honor or mom or somebody that's going to be helping you put the whole dress together. So whoever's going to be doing that,
make sure you have them.
Bring them with you or take videos of the appointment so they know what to do.
I just thought about this. I think we keep saying bustle, but have we explained what a bustle is?
No, we can totally explain what a bustle is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those terms that because we use it so much and we're so,
Yeah.
So a bustle, so if your dress has a long train, when it's time to dance, when it's time to walk around, you don't want to drag that around. So the seamstress will make bustles, like can bustle your dress. So what it is just little hook and eyes that
or
pull,
buttons or whatever.
Buttons or there's different kind of techniques but what we see most of the time we work with are little hook and eyes, and you just there could be like a 1 point, a 3 point, a 5 point. Have you seen any?
I think I've seen a 7 point bustle on some of the longer trains.
Yeah, so it just depends on length and weight of the dress.
Also how wide the dress goes, the train.
Yeah, depends on what the seamstress choose to use for your bustle.
Yeah.
So that's what a bustle is.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to go over to stylist tricks.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the stylist tips and tricks.
Yeah. So if you are a stylist, either new or someone who's been in the field for a while, there are some tips and tricks that we use that, maybe you guys already know, or maybe, you do a modified version of it.
Yeah.
But if you have other tips and tricks too.
I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know.
Let us know. We would love to share. I think this would be a cool space for stylists too, because we can share what we know. You can share what. We can share some stories. We can share all the things. So
share. Okay, so this one is going to include some more videos. So again, if you're on audio only, hop on over to our YouTube to just check out the videos. If not, we'll try our best to do some descriptions.
Yeah. So the first one is like the hair accessories. So like sometimes when we're we know that we're getting closer to the dress, we like to put in hair accessories, veils, hair pieces. So what I've learned when putting in a veil or like a hair comb to kind of get some volume in the hair. So I'll try to explain, like you said, if it's like an audio listener. So try to lift up the hair, get some volume between the clip and the hair, and scoop it up the opposite way. So I like to go up and then kind of get a twirl or a twist in and bring it down, just so the veil kind of clips in the hair, because sometimes like a lot of people will straighten their hair before they come in, so it's like really silky and it slips right out, so you got to get some volume, kind of like teasing the hair a little bit without having a comb.
Yeah.
So hopefully I explained that well.
I think that was good. Another thing that I use a lot is I have a lot of brides who are into A-lines right now. And we have a decent amount of A-lines, but also you can open up the floor to ball gowns when your bride wants A-lines. And I know you're thinking like, well, that's way too much. A lot of them don't want all that poof. So here is my trick that I use. I will put a bride in a ball gown, and what you do is you take all that, like the crunchy, the crinoline, the horsehair, whatever, you pull it all to the front and you just start twisting it and twisting it and twisting it and twisting it until it's all like kind of gathered in the front. It's going to look messy, it's going to look weird. You're not pulling the actual dress, just that like crunchy stuff. And then tell the bride to open her legs a little bit. You're going to tuck all of that in and then tell her to close her legs back up. And then it'll kind of take out all of that poof. It won't do it like a complete,
it takes
change.
a lot of the volume, like, so the dress kind of just lays flatter. But like, I think I tell, it sounds weird when you're like, open your legs as wide as you can, but like, shove it towards the back, because the back won't matter as much, and she can kind of release it in the back and not like hold it all like in between her legs sometimes. But at least in the front, she can get a visual of the dress being a little flatter.
Yeah.
So.
I'll start this one, and then I want you to talk about it too.
Oh yeah, because it can lead right into the next.
Yeah. So, there is a trend, or not trend, a trick that has been used that we don't personally love, but some people are okay with it. Some people are willing to do it. But there are better uses for this trick, I think, than what it is intended for. So there is a trick, I don't know, we call it the paper doll, essentially, where you put a dress over a bride and you hold it to them so they can see how the dress will fit. Sometimes you do it if the sizing isn't right for somebody. Well, most of the time I'd say you do that. But I think there's a much better way to use that doesn't have to do with sizing. I personally use it when I have a bride that's stuck between two dresses. I have her put her favorite on, and then I take the second dress, and I have her, if it's a strapless, just hold it underneath, or if it has straps, put your arms through it. So then she sees that second dress on top of the first one, so she gets a good look at it. I'm holding it, helping her hold it to her, and then I say, okay, close your eyes, we take that dress off, and then there's the first one. So it's almost like trying it back to back, so they could compare it. That's really, for me, the only time I'll use that trick. I think sometimes if you have a bride that wants to, do the paper doll for sizing, I think that's fine, but I wouldn't do it unless somebody asked me to, and I'll let you speak on that.
So my next tip kind of leads right into it, so I'll like go back and forth. Just be careful, stylists, of your verbiage when you're talking about sizing. And I think sometimes what Zoe's kind of referring to is sometimes as stylists we see that a dress will not fit. So say you have a bride that's like a size 24, 26 and she's loving a dress that's like a size 12. We've seen some stylists maybe take the dress on her size 26 body and kind of pull the size 12 in front of her and trying to get her to visualize herself in the dress. It's a couple reasons why that's not going to work. The proportions of the dress don't really hit the bride where it would actually hit if she were to put on the dress. And also too, to me it's just distasteful to do a little bit, because you're trying to talk someone into envisioning themselves in a dress that's it's just not good to do. So, and I lead that into the next one of just be careful of the verbiage that you use when you're talking about sizing, when you're talking about things not fitting, because it can kind of be a little discouraging. Like if a bride is loving a dress and she goes into the dressing room and she's trying it on and it's just not fitting. If a bride looks at her dress and she can see, I know I've seen some stylist like a dress will be a size 18 and they're telling them like, no, this is not going to fit. And like, no, try it on anyway. Sometimes this dress is bigger, or so, like kind of go off of the bride's vibe. She knows her body, she knows her size. The bride knows their size, so just kind of pay attention and always keep the bride in mind. And remember, we want them to feel confident, we want them to feel great. So
Yeah. I think the only time like I would ever do a paper doll is if the bride was like, well, can you hold it up to me and I can get an idea. That's like the only time I would do that, if the bride specifically asked for it. What happened to our sound? Hello? Oh, I thought our sound cut out. I'm losing it. Restart. I thought it's not showing the level, so I thought it wasn't recording, but I'm just not paying attention. That's the only time.
If the bride asks, of course, but just don't get into the habit of being like, oh, I know you like this dress and you can't fit it, we can't put it on you, but it's the same thing if I just hold it in front of you and you can see it. Like, no, not so much.
Be honest. Don't say it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't promise it's going to be exact. But if it's the style that the bride really wants and she still just wants to kind of envision it on her, then that's, up to the bride. But don't ever... That's just going to make someone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's going to make it more about the size. And we don't want to do that at all. We want someone to feel more about the dress than the size.
Find a dress that's comparable. Find a dress that has similar details. Find a dress that has similar fit and maybe not so much details, and get them into the dress that has the fit, and then compare side by side and show them where the detail would lay. There's so many ways around it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Something else for stylists to know is how to clip. If you are a stylist, most likely you have had to learn how to clip a dress. If you haven't, you should learn, especially since bridal isn't one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's very, dependent on the size of the bride, and, if a dress is too small, what do you do? If a dress is too big, what do you do? So we'll just talk a little bit while we let a video play about how we clip. I like to have a good variation of types of clips. Small ones, big ones, wide ones.
You should see our clips.
Yeah, we got a lot.
Yeah.
But it's important because if you're using like a big massive clip to clip a shoulder strap, it's going to look ridiculous. It's going to weigh the bride down. They sell them online. You can get just little mini jumper cable clips or whatever to hold on to the bride, like almost like imagine like a mini little chip clip, essentially.
Yeah, little chip clip.
Yeah. Because you need to think about like the proportions of where you're clipping and what's going to be effective. If you're using a really tiny small clip to clip the back of a dress, that's not going to work. You need something that's going to be stronger and bigger to hold the back of it.
Yeah. And for me, clipping can definitely like elevate a look. So I use it to like if a bride is wanting more of like a mermaid or like a fitted, sometimes something that we can do in alterations I might do with clips. I might show like, oh, if you want it tighter here, and I'll pull it. So sometimes it's about sizing, or sometimes it's about preference. If a bride wants like a tighter waistline, just to use them, in different ways.
Yeah.
So.
I think for me, whenever I'm like starting to clip a bride, she's like, oh, I thought this dress was bad, and then you started to clip it and it looked like a real dress. So I think proper clipping makes all the difference in the world. I think like the best way to start the process of clipping, obviously you need the bride in the dress, but then tell them to hold themselves in the front, in the bust, where it's comfortable for them. Make sure everything's in the right place, because if it's not, you're going to either get something that's too loose or too tight. So, tell them to adjust themselves and then hold in the front, and then you'll be able to grab all that material in the back and clip at the top, clip at the waist. If it's a fitted dress, clip underneath the butt, adjust any straps from there, things like that. That's how I do it. I don't know if you do it differently.
So for me, I don't necessarily tell them to hold. I like for my bride to be facing the mirror so I can see her behind. I can see her in the mirror, so the front of her in the mirror, and then I kind of look and adjust, but not looking at what I'm doing, kind of looking at her in the mirror. So that's my way of doing it.
I usually make adjustments once we get to the mirror, but for at least first clip, I try to make it fit in the dressing room as best as I can. But there is proper clipping and there's bad clipping, and it's best to know the difference when you're a stylist. Really practice on mannequins and just kind of clip from the back, as you do it, and then go look at the front and see where you might have been able to improve. So just practice. If you have another stylist that's willing to put a dress on, practice with them.
That's actually one of our things. Try on, make sure that you and the stylist and the store are trying on the dresses. So that's a perfect time when you're trying on the dresses, because we get a lot of practice with each other.
Yeah.
And Zoe and me, I was like, oh, you're a great clipper. Like, because you're more comfortable in trying, and like, you're more comfortable as a stylist telling the other stylist, like, no, that's not tight enough. Like, do it a little bit better. So,
Yeah, and going off of, trying on dresses, I think one of the biggest things that I learned working in the last store that I worked at was that whenever we got new arrivals, somebody should put on the dress, and doesn't matter who, it is. If you pick one person, you find accessories that match with it, you find not flaws, but things that brides might say, like, oh, it is kind of itchy right here, something like that. So just keep in mind
so you can know what to offer, because it's already thought about.
Yeah. And I think we have 2 more things. Actually 3. Going off of that with the accessories, knowing your accessories, figuring out what is going to work with your dresses. So, like, play around a lot. Oh, wait, this veil actually really matches the detail on this dress. Now I know that. Like, I can pull this one, or pick up one veil and walk around the store and see what dresses it goes with, so that when you're ready to put more on the bride, But, and then next is kind of just like stylist personality stuff.
Yes. Definitely don't be afraid to let your guard down. You want to be inviting. You want to smile. Your body language should be inviting. The bride should feel warm up to the bride, ask questions, try to see if, I call it a 5-minute friend. So I have a lot of sales training outside of when I first got here. I was in sales. And then sales training, they really teach you how to make a 5-minute friend. So find something in common. And also you want to be genuine. So like, don't just like comment or like compliment something that's not genuine. Like, find something that you actually like, that you actually have in common, something that they're wearing. Just find that and build off of it. So the more friendly you are, the more that the bride is going to open up, and you can have a successful appointment.
Yeah. I feel like when families come in, they'll talk about like TV shows or movies. Like, I had one last week where this woman was talking about the new Lord of the Rings TV show that came out.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh yeah, I'm a big fan. Like, I love it. I love the movies. And I'm a film major outside of Bridal. So I was like, oh, did you know the original movies were all filmed in like a 22-month period? And they spent like no money on it and made a ton off of it. And she was like, no way, really? They filmed them like back to back? And I was like, yeah, they went to Australia, filmed all 3. So like, I try to find like fun facts. Something I learned too was did you know is a really good thing. Like, oh, did you know this? And that's like a really big thing, like, to kind of
build off of. Yeah.
Give a fun fact, something cool, like, oh, did you know this dress has pockets? And then they're like, oh my god, it has pockets. Or
like, what would you put in it? Like, it kind of builds, like, definitely conversation builders. Obviously, we want to stay away from, certain topics and things like that. So also be mindful, like, no politics, no anything that's, like, big controversial issues or anything like that. Just try to keep it fun. Try to keep it trendy, something, talk about, keep it relevant,
Yeah. Keep it fun.
Yeah. Keep it light.
Definitely keep it light, for sure.
Definitely keep it light.
All right, guys. I know.
You have any last minute?
Any last minute things? Just be yourself if you're a stylist, really. Like, I know it seems like a very, like, luxurious job to be working in bridal and blah, 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 and, oh, you know so much. But, like, no bride's gonna want to work with somebody who knows everything and is so, like, professional that you can't even, like, you know, talk to them as a person. So just be yourself. Don't worry about being this, like, big persona. It doesn't come off as genuine. Friendly or, as genuine. So that's, like, my big thing, I think.
Yeah. I think what I love is when me and you are both in appointments, you can see, like, you're very much you, I'm very much me, and it works. They say yes to you, they say, like, it just works. So, like, I think that's huge. Be yourself. Like, don't try to be, like, one. Like, definitely you can learn from other stylists, but your personality is going to help you more than you think. And at the end of the day, you can just fall back on being yourself. Sometimes you don't need to know the verbiage. Sometimes you don't need to know, like, you just being you is going to carry you.
Yeah.
So just be genuine. Be real.
All right. Time to wrap up our episode for today. I think this is a little bit of a shorter episode than we usually do, but it's just supposed to be a fun little tips and tricks one. So this is a good thing to keep in your back pocket just in case. But we're still going to end with a question today.
You know what's funny? I never know the question. The question is always a surprise.
I'll let you pick the question next time. You can surprise me.
I like it, though, because I think, like, I always make a surprise face, and I'm like, no, I really don't ever know the question. So.
No. I pull them right off of our Instagram, so if you guys want to submit questions, please go over there. But
today's question
is, what is trending right now in the bridal universe? So I don't know if that person meant dresses, if they meant, like,
just like
trends in general.
I know one that I saw. I think I sent it to you. Instead of, like, a second look, so sometimes brides will change from, like, a traditional wedding dress to, like, maybe more, like, evening gown, special occasion dress. But instead of doing that, they're, for, like, the reception or the second half, they're getting, like, a drastic haircut.
Yeah.
So they'll come with, like 30 inches of, like, I'm guessing their own hair. And before the other part of the occasion, they get a drastic haircut, like a bob or, like, a really short cut. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. I guess, you know, taking the, what was that, like, a few years back ago, like, do it for the Vine, like, that trend, like, do it for the TikTok.
They doing it because I'm like,
Whoa. I think two big trends in general are non-traditional weddings, so, like, weddings with different themes, things like that. That's really trending right now, that kind of, like, industrial look. I feel like a lot of people are turning away from tradition, which is really cool, and doing their own thing.
I seen this really cool thing where they were, like, at the top of a mountain, and it was, like, this little thing holding them up. It looked dangerous. But it was, like, this little thin piece of, like, net that they were, like, standing in, and it was, like, 4 mountains holding them in the middle. I wouldn't ask, don't do this. But, I mean, if you're professional, I guess.
We do not condone any of the dangerous
actions. I don't
actions.
think you should do that. But, that's
as far as, like, actual dresses, I think we kind of talked about what was trending. So if you want to know what actual dresses are trending right now in styles, you should go over to episode 2 and check that out. But as far as, like, TikTok and Instagram and things that are trending there, that's it. We'll talk more about trends and stuff like that.
Viral moments.
Yeah, viral moments.
Yes, like how to go viral.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out. So
if you have any tips on that, maybe you can help us by sharing.
Yeah,
and liking,
share us.
And commenting, and subscribing. Let's start there.
Yeah. We better. I know what our subscriber count is now, but I hope by the time this episode comes out, it's more.
We know.
Crossing my fingers.
Yes.
So. Alright, guys, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you guys. We can't believe that we're already on episode 4. Oh.
Next time you see us, we'll be on episode 5.
Alright, guys, we'll see you next week. For just our audio listeners, if you're listening on Monday, stay tuned for the YouTube video. It comes out tomorrow. If you guys are watching on YouTube and you didn't know that we also do podcast only.
Yeah.
That's on Spotify and Apple.
And it drops the day before.
Yes. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.